Oh shit, here we go again.
We are going to continue in the saga of the Grisaia sequel, Grisaia Phantom Trigger. We are going to be taking a look at the 7th installment of the Grisaia Phantom Trigger series. That's right, we're on 7 volumes of this. To those who have not read the first couple volumes of this series, don't worry, this will be a spoiler-free review of it. If anything, you'll get to see the main cast of girls and the new additions to the cast who join later in the volumes, to which I believe is the complete team. I can't tell, for all we know there could be more volumes of this for all I know. The 7th volume starts off with the cast of characters in transit when their vehicle gets flipped over by a rocket launcher. Of course, this is standard fare for the Mihama schoolgirls and SWORD, the organization in charge of training these young operatives for military missions. Well, aside from one particular character.
Sensei, helmetをかぶってください。これだけで生存確率が 20% 上昇しますから。はい、20%。
The Mihama girls are on an overseas operation, and Arisaka here had the galaxy brain idea to accompany the girls on their life-endangering mission, because that was a good idea. We are given context for her decision in the visual novel's first half before the actual mission takes place. This first half shows the daily lives and training of the Mihama students, with Arisaka tagging along to better understand her students and their various eating habits. If there's anything I can count on Grisaia Phantom Trigger to talk about, it's guns and food. Like in previous volumes, Phantom Trigger always goes head deep into various gun mechanics and military procedures, like how to properly fit a gun to a child and how to operate as a battle medic. Sure, some of it is interesting to hear about, but just sometimes when I'm reading about it, But I'm not alone, as Arisaka is in the same position. Arisaka is a fantastic insert character for the audience. While a majority of the Mihama students are able-bodied assassins and professional killers, Arisaka is just a normal average civilian, and definitely a more panicky and nervous one. No regular person will be able to comprehend and understand the ordeals that the girls have to go through. Arisaka has accepted the fact that she's a general education teacher, but surprisingly, she holds significant power in terms of approving whether or not her students can go on this field trip.
FBI, open up!
Her apprehensiveness in her behavior creates lots of good reflection and discussion throughout this visual novel, and it's thought-provoking to see these perspectives clash. Examples being the mentality of war, the righteousness of justice, and the ethics of putting kids on the battlefield. As the story moves from the first half at the academy to the second half on the battlefield, Arisaka is constantly being dragged around to get an idea of what all of the girls do in their natural element. But on a story pacing perspective, personally, it's very dull. How I can describe this volume is a collection of short stories with no real overarching moving narrative. There's developments happening and more information is being revealed, but it's presented in such an unexciting fashion. There's no sense of urgency and consequences at all, because we know at the end of the day, the girls aren't in any real danger. Any one of the girls could suffer a gun wound, and the next thing you know, they're eating mackerel at the cafeteria. For people dying every day, it's quite mellow. Don't get me wrong, the writing in these conversations are very good at discussing morals, ethics, philosophies, and ideologies, and all that mumbo jumbo. It's just that this is in every single scene, and it ends up like a philosophical sermon, making the visual novel feel very monotonous as it drags and drones on. Yes, war never changes, but I just want to see my boy go off, please.
I am the power of God and anime on my side! Wait,
While I do say that, the slice of life moments are still as consistent as ever, with all of the characters being featured here and there with their various old quirks, and even picking up some new ones.
サッカーは人生だぞ。経済や政治に通じるものもある。これはスパイス界のロナウドか。
If you enjoyed watching these girls throughout their adventure, you won't be disappointed. The production quality still remains the same as the previous releases. There are some new additions to the soundtrack, which is nicely appreciated, including a new high-tension track that made me super hyped when it started playing. In conclusion, Grisaia Phantom Trigger Volume 7 sets up the foundation for the finale of the series. Overall, the Grisaia Phantom Trigger series is a decent visual novel series with good one-off volumes, and I encourage people to check it out. But as a person who was patiently waiting for the next installment for more than a year, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. My disappointment aside from waiting as these volumes come out, in preparation for what appears to be the final confrontation against the big bad guy, Volume 7 is the first volume in a two-part arc, but in its presentation, it leaves a lot out in emotional gratification due to its lack of narrative urgency, as while NPCs are dying left and right, our cast still has time to sit down and enjoy a nice curried dinner. I give Grisaia Phantom Trigger Volume 7 a 2 out of 5, but chances are, if you're like me and you're 7 volumes deep into this rabbit hole, you're gonna read it anyway, and you'll buy the next one just to see the series to its conclusion. So like, why not? Subscribe if you like the video and want to see more. Check back every week for new content. For more of my thoughts and the most up-to-date news on videos, you can find me on Twitter at TheAugustHale. Check out some of my other anime visual novel reviews on my channel playlist. Links are in the description down below.